So a couple of days before the disinfection program was applied, and then we had to stay home. We were supposed to have a ride with Chantal. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And then recently we were talking, and then we said that we are going to have our ride, but over the internet.
Virtual, virtual ride.
So we are hosting. Exactly. So again, this is our third episode. It's me, Danny from Bike Nation, my partner and my brother Hassan, and Chantal Asaad. Chantal, how are you?
Yes, I'm great. How are you guys?
All good?
Great.
All is fine. All is fine.
I'm so happy to catch up with you guys.
Thank you. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
How is it going with the home staying?
I'm surviving. It's been tough. You go through phases. It's tough.
All right. So Chantal was in Canada before. She was raised in Canada, and then she came to the UAE. She is one of the figures in the biking community here in the UAE after she has done some shows, film shows. And of course, despite her personality and despite what she do during the rides and the fun and all of that, she is also a first aider. And this is what will be our coming subject about this matter. Chantal, tell you what, why don't you tell us about yourself? How was Canada? How's things here and riding issues?
Obviously,
Speaking of riding.
Okay. I never thought I'd become a rider ever. I mean, I was like, yeah, bikes are cool, but it's never me. I love motorsports. I love cars. I like fast cars. I like muscle cars. And then, I don't know, I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I need to get my bike license. And it actually happened while I was living here. I went, the company I was working for was kind of like in this limbo where they didn't know if they wanted to run or not. So I took a 4-month vacation and I went back home and I got my license. Because back home it's different, right? The training is like 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And then you do the test. Mm-hmm. Like the test is it's on the 3rd day.
Wow.
But the training is all day. It's not like 2 hours. It's like full day of training. Sorry, okay. Danny, go ahead.
Intense.
So you rode in Canada and you rode here.
I rode in Canada and then I rode here.
Is there any difference between riding in the UAE and riding, let's say, in Canada?
It's a huge difference. So the UAE is very...
What are the differences?
Okay, the UAE is very flat, right? Whereas back home in Canada, you have your mountains, you have your winding roads, you have the nature is different. And obviously as bikers, we can all relate on, you know what, we experience nature in a different way, have a lot more potholes. And sorry, Canada, but yeah, there's a lot more potholes. And then also nature. So like when you compare nature in Canada and nature here, obviously it's different. So you see different wildlife on the road, you see different plants, the weather is different. It's just, I mean, riding in Canada, especially in the summer, because we only have a couple of months where we can actually ride. Yeah. And and then you'd have to stop for like hours waiting for the rain to stop because it just suddenly poured on you. And obviously you can't ride.
I've noticed that a little bit because we've seen that is there a big community in Canada for riders in these things?
Huge.
I don't feel that there is. Oh, all right.
It's a huge community. So like,
but because maybe the season is limited, this is why they don't appear so much.
The season's limited. It costs a lot more to insure a bike in Canada than it does here. So not the actual bike is not that expensive, but insuring it is a lot more than a car. But then also we don't have groups back home like we do here. So obviously the Harleys, they do have their groups, but then you have all the sport bikes and it's just one big community where like you would meet strangers at Tim Hortons parking lot and you'd all go ride together.
Okay, nice.
So
nice. All right.
So it is like you're bored, you want to ride, park your bike at a Tim Hortons, grab a coffee and you'll have everybody join.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Lovely. Right. So you came here and then you did a show.
Yeah, it was unexpected. Yes.
Right. Tell us about that because we got to know you because of the show, right?
Because of the show, yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm happy I did the show because like I got to meet so many people, right? It opened up doors in the community, but I didn't plan it. So I was working in the industry, and a friend introduced me. He was my boss at the time. He introduced me to a friend of his, and they said, hey, and the company that I work with, which was Electric Films, it's a local production company here. They were creating a show called The Open Road, and they had their cast, they had everybody set, and I was like, oh my God, this is really cool. Let me know when it airs. And my boss at the time, he said, oh, you know, Chantal rides too. She loves bikes, this. Next thing you know, a week later, I was on a business trip in Salalah, and I just came back, and I get a call saying, when can we meet you? We need to cast you. And I said, cast me for what? And this was Gemma from Electric Films. And she's like, we heard about you. We want you to join the show. And I was like, listen, this is not like me. I don't do shows. And she said, no, it's just a local documentary. So it was what was supposed to be a small local documentary went huge because Fox ended up commissioning it, Fox Arabia, and it went all over Fox Arabia, Nat Geo Abu Dhabi, Star Movies was like owned by Fox, and it went. And had I known at the time it would be this big, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah, I definitely would not have.
Why, if I may ask? I mean, that's something that lots of people aspire to appear in such a show, and they would do whatever they can to be in these shows. So why would you think differently?
Hassan, because it's not for me. Like I enjoy riding. I enjoy it as a hobby, not as a career. And I did have some camera training growing up. I wanted to be an actress, like way before, and obviously it's like every little girl's dream, like I want to be in the spotlight. But then after like growing up, when you mature, you're like, no, I don't really want to. And then this came about, and it wasn't really for me. It was an amazing experience, absolutely once in a lifetime opportunity that like people would dream of, and I'm so grateful for it. But it's just not for me, like the whole camera. I mean, I started meeting people. So I worked in the industry. So going to industry events, people would tell me like, oh, hey, you look familiar. Did I see you on TV? And it didn't click. So I'd be like, no, what do you mean? And then 5 minutes later, they'd say, oh yeah, no, that's the same girl from, it would like, and then they'd point at the ad. So it's not something that I envisioned myself doing, for sure. I was working on the other end of it in the industry.
Okay. Wow. All right. Now in any shooting of a production, there must be some ups and downs moments, and there are usually the spin-offs, etc. So I would like to know more about, I mean, some kind of events that happened with you during the shoot that you would always remember. Something
God, there were so many, and I think they all involve dogs.
Okay.
Every single one of them. So I love dogs. I'm a huge animal person. My dream is to ride a Harley with like a Rottweiler behind me.
Ooh,
so
wow.
yeah, I know.
Nice.
So,
That would be a shot, huh?
That would just add to like the spin-off of all this, right? So basically one of the moments was we were in Petra, and Pamela and I were walking to a different hotel because the hotel we were staying at was just horrible. So we changed hotels, and we're carrying our luggage and we're going, and I see this German Shepherd that's just laying there. He's minding his own business, and a pack of other dogs comes and attacks him. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but in Jordan there are a lot of stray dogs and cats like everywhere, right? So I couldn't watch that. So I went and I shooed the other dogs away. So this German Shepherd that was sleeping started following us. And I was
like,
hey,
a protector right now, so.
Yeah, exactly, right? So he got attached, and
should be the other way around, right?
It should be. He's a German Shepherd. He's supposed to be like guarding me, but like you could tell there was so much depression in his eyes. Like these dogs are literally fighting for their lives in the streets. So Pamela tells me, Chantal, what are you doing? I don't want him following us. I was like, well, I'm not going to shoo him away. And this dog, like his tail went up. He's all happy. Like I have a video of it. And so he followed us to the lobby of the Movenpick at Petra. And I'm like, hey, you know what? There's an extra bed. He could sleep in the third bed. And Pamela's just looking at me like, this girl's crazy. Who is this woman? Like, she couldn't sleep in that horrible hotel, but she's taking a stray dog with her. Chantal, I have an idea. You go back to the other hotel. You take the dog with you, and I'll stay here.
So you ended up stuck with the dog.
So I was stuck with the dog, and like my heart was breaking because I obviously know it's wrong, but at the same time I can't kick him back.
Yeah.
So actually the hotel manager saw me trying to sneak him in and kicked him out.
So
I
tell
hope
me
he's
something.
doing okay now. Yeah.
You shooted in UAE, in Jordan, and in Lebanon, I think, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. What happened? Let's say something that happened in the UAE.
In the UAE, I got lost in Sharjah. So we were filming at the Islamic Museum, or like it was a calligraphy museum.
Yeah.
And we were doing rounds around that area and just trying to get some like side shots. And obviously, you guys know in Sharjah, some of the streets are like one ways, so you can't really get there. And I'm not familiar with it, so I went around, and Pamela, who doesn't even live here, knew how to get around, but I didn't. So I got lost, and I went around these like winding streets, and I stopped these police officers, and I was like, excuse me, like I really need help. I don't know how I'm supposed to be in this place. And I pull out my phone, and I'm showing, and he's like, okay, 1 second, I'll give you directions, but let's take a picture first because this is really cool. So they were so fascinated by my writing that they don't see, like obviously here a lot of women do ride, but
True.
they you know what I mean. But to see somebody who is as feminine as me on a Harley, and it was the Iron 883.
Yeah.
So to them it was something new, and I like that experience was really cool. It really sticks with me now because it just shows how accepting everybody is over here.
But that's great. I mean, with what you're doing, at least you're spreading the right news.
True.
Let's say the
Right
true news
the culture.
about the culture here in the Middle East and the people around
Yeah,
here.
I mean,
It's great. So we salute you for that.
Thank you so
Right.
much. No, I mean it's something. Honestly, it's a good takeaway from the show.
Yeah,
like I said, I had I known it would be this big, I wouldn't have done it. But there's been so many positive outcomes that I'm very grateful that it was done.
Great. Chantal, is the show still showing somewhere? If somebody would like to see it right now, can they find it somewhere?
I believe it's on the Fox channels, the Fox Arabia channels, and I believe it's on Saturdays, but I'm not sure. I'll find out. Yeah.
All right, we'll try to Google it. I mean, if we can find recorded episodes of you as well, we will mention them. And my next question would be: would you plan for another show? I know that you said that you're not so big on shows, etc. But provided that the opportunity comes back again, would you do another show like this?
We've discussed it.
Okay.
Definitely. It's not for me. It's I know that they are talking. I know Electric Films was talking about doing another one, but it's not something that I would do again. I prefer to ride for me.
Okay. All right. So we'll give that will give the opportunity for another maybe lady rider or female rider to
anybody. I mean, it's honestly, I would definitely encourage anybody to try if they ever get an opportunity to. Any female bikers, it's amazing. There were things that I did on there that I would never have done otherwise.
Yeah, and it's good for us, for the community to show. I mean, as we just said, so it's a great thing to do. So
of course,
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right. So we'll open up the second subject, which is what do you do now? What do you work?
So right now, obviously, I'm not in the industry anymore. I work in a first aid company. It's a first aid training company. So we train lifeguards, and we take everybody in first aid. So teachers, nannies, everything. So when I joined and I realized, I said, you know what? So back home, growing up, you can't graduate high school without your first aid certificate.
Yeah.
But here, it's such a new concept. And the UAE has opened up so many doors for us to create our own space to educate people for safety. So what I've done is actually one of our first group of bikers that did the training were the Lidas. So the girls came on board last Ramadan and they trained, and it
was in Bikers Cafe, I think, right?
It was at Bikers Cafe, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that, yes.
And it's really nice to see, because obviously I grew up knowing this stuff, right? But it's nice to teach it to other people and especially like my family, like every biker is part of my family, right? We're all one big family around the world. And we go on trips that are in the middle of nowhere. We're very careful. We're not reckless, but it's about accidents happen, and it's
Things
really
happen.
nice to be
Things happen.
exactly. So it's nice to be able to give back to the community and help them realize that, you know what, we can save ourselves also. So God forbid should
Very
anything
good.
happen.
Which
Yeah.
opens up a very important question from my side.
Tell me.
In the UAE, if, let's say, God forbid, an accident happens,
Yeah.
we all know that only certified people are allowed to touch an injured guy. It's a thing about liability and these things.
Yeah.
Does the certificate or the training that you provide as an institute to the riders authorize them to touch anyone who's injured in the ground?
Yeah, of course. So what happens is when you're certified, this becomes your protection against any kind of lawsuit should anything come up, right? But there are procedures to follow. So obviously, like I said, I've been trained in this since I was younger back home, but since working with Blue Guard, I didn't know about the laws here. So for example, you first have to ask for permission from the casualty.
Yeah.
And if they're unconscious, you have to ask for permission from the police. Now, when you are a first aider, it becomes second nature to you that you have to save that person's life.
React fast, exactly.
You have to react fast, exactly. So you have to, but you also have to call the police. So you end
Definitely.
up getting, yeah.
Definitely,
so it's just,
the idea.
Yeah, sorry, no, it's just basically like you end up, you have to give first aid, because what's the point of first aid? You're preserving and saving a life, so that when paramedics come to the actual scene, they take over, right? So in
Right.
doing this, there are procedures that you follow, and this you get taught in your course.
Now, there is this time in between when you are there, the injured person is there, and you can react. Can you actually react if you have the certificate? If you don't, you can actually react if you have the certificate. It's very important that you are certified.
You're certified. I mean, if you look at countries like Germany, you're not allowed a driver's license without a first aid license. So for you to be able to drive, because you become, who's on the road, who's the first responder on the road in an accident?
The driver right beside him.
Exactly. So how are we supposed to save somebody's life if we're not allowed to touch them? Right? And this is why the UAE's laws are changing, they're adapting, because the government realizes this, and there's so many opportunities now that for people to train. So for example, right now during quarantine, right? Obviously we can't train people in person, but what we've done is we've adapted our curriculum to do it online. So we can help people online.
Good.
And that's how important it is to us. I mean, the job, when I actually started with Blue Guard, I wasn't even going to be in the UAE. I was supposed to move back home. And because I'm so passionate about it, and I saw how you can give back to the community, you can, for example, with a biker, the most sensitive thing is the helmet. The helmet protects us. You move it 1 inch the wrong way, the person can get paralyzed or die.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So we've taught bikers how to remove the helmet. So we've had Hog Dubai group come in, we've had Lead Us come in, we've taught them how to remove the helmet safely and properly. And I think you'll see it on some of my social media, and as well as Blue Guards. You'll see it on there. And my plan, obviously, it's personal more than it is professional. I want to spread this around the community, because we do go to like Jabal Hafid.
It will be your contribution towards the community.
Exactly. And I think.
Sorry, if I may add something. We see lots of riding skills training happening around the region, whether in the UAE, and in Egypt, in Jordan, in Lebanon, anywhere, in Saudi, Bahrain, all over the areas. We find lots of riding skills training, but we never come across, or very rarely, we
first
come
aid
through a first aid or CPR training, which is really important, because sometimes a group of small riders would unfortunately have some accident somewhere very far, and without this knowledge, they're jeopardizing their lives. So yeah, that would be great. I mean, if you can push with your knowledge, that would be great to see.
I'm trying. I'm really trying, because it's very important to me. Obviously, like you said, I mean, in the US, bikers are called organ donors. That's what we call bikers.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't want that here.
Yeah. True.
You know, we want to protect our family.
Yeah.
Right. I'm done, Hassan. Handing over to you.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great chatting with you. It was short but sweet, as we say. A very nice conversation with you. Chantal, if someone would like to follow you, see what you're up to, where can they follow you at?
Instagram at Biker Shants. I think you guys can type that.
Yeah, we'll add that.
Yeah,
We'll add that.
you'll add that at the bottom, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but obviously right now the quarantine, not much is happening, and
Yeah.
so
No, of course.
this will end.
Yeah.
This
It
will
will happen
end.
after the quarantine is finished.
This will end.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward the rebound, as we always say. After that, we'll have a
True.
great time. After that, let's just help the community right now. Stop.
And we
spreading
still have our Vespa ride with Chantal also.
I cannot wait for that. Like, we need to get
Yeah.
on this.
It got postponed, but it's not
We'll do.
forgotten.
I mean, a
Will do.
Vespa, from sport bike to Harley to Vespa.
A new experience.
Yes.
All right, cool. So thank you very much, Chantal, again.
Thank you,
for joining
guys.
us tonight. Danny, thank you. And yeah, looking
welcome,
forward to
Hassan.
our next episode. And looking forward to see you next time in person during the ride.
Thank you, guys. Looking forward to see you
Bye.
guys too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay
Thanks.
safe.
Bye. You too.
Bye.